Hello and welcome to another game analyzer. How was that? Did that sound like Josh? Well, I'm not the game analyzer. I'm Chris the Pocket Master. I'm here to just talk about some video games because I feel like it. I know my voice sounds a little raspy. That's because I've been singing for the album, just doing songs, and they took a lot out of my voice. And I also did a cover song. I also sang a cover song, and that just killed me. But I feel like talking about video games for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm taking this opportunity to just talk about the Sega Game Gear, that console, and just the memories I've had of that game or that console. So I remember back in the day when I was 5 years old, I bought a Game Boy, and that's when I barely started to learn how to read. So I was 5. I was reading video game magazines. I was reading about the Game Boy games, and I was like, wow, these are great. But then I saw color games, and I just assumed that it was for the Game Boy for some reason. I was like, how come it's in color? And then I was reading closely, Game Gear. Oh my gosh. So it was a new console, and I was reading it, and I found out, whoa, I don't have that video game console, the Sega Game Gear. And I was always fascinated about the Sega Game Gear. I knew it came out in the 90s, like early 90s, 1990 or 1991, one of those years, or 92, could be 92. But it came out when I was just a baby, so there was no way I could have known about it. The reason I knew about Nintendo's Game Boy is because, well, let's face it, it was more popular of the two. And in 95, I believe Sega Game Gear was like going out of business. They're discontinuing the Sega Game Gear. So I bugged my mom. I said, hey, I want a Sega Game Gear. She said no, especially at that time. And I was looking in the magazine. I said, you could order one. You could order one right here. And my mom was like, no, I'm not going to order one. Because back then, ordering things was, it was a new thing. And it was kind of scary to a lot of people, like, because it was a new thing, you're sending your credit card information and all that stuff to just some stranger, and I completely understand why my mom didn't want to order one. So I didn't get one for like 5 more years. And then fast forward to the year 2000 or 2001, I would always get this game magazine called Pocket Games or Pocket Gamer. I forgot what it was called. I have a few copies I could show you in a minute, or right here. And the reason why I bought those games was because at that time I had a Neo Geo Pocket Color, and I was always reading about the games for that console because, the same year I bought the Neo Geo Pocket, it went out of, they discontinued the Neo Geo Pocket. So I was reading about it, and I was like, man, I want all these games, but they stopped selling the Neo Geo Pocket. Oh my gosh. And then in the article I was reading, it was about a company called Majesco and how they were bringing back the Sega Game Gear to selected Toys R Us and EB Games and all that, I think. But the place that really caught my eye was Toys R Us, because I would go to that place to buy Neo Geo Pocket stuff. And I was like, Mom, we gotta go to Toys R Us. We gotta go to Toys R Us. Come on, because they re-released the Sega Game Gear. My mom was like, oh my gosh, fine. And I also read the price tag of the Majesco price. They said, oh, it is about $50 or something like that. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so doable. I had no concept of money. Just anything below $100, I think my mom and dad would buy. That's how my mindset was. And so we went to Toys R Us, and I saw the Game Gear, the Majesco version. There was only one copy left. I was like, oh gosh. And my mom bought it. I was like, holy crap, she bought it. And then she's like, no, this is Josh. This belongs to Josh. This is his Game Gear, not yours. And I was like, what? You gotta be kidding me. He doesn't even want it. But she was teaching us, I think, the value of sharing. So yeah, Josh was sharing with me because I really wanted it, and I played that thing for hours, man. And Josh was so kind enough to share with me. We had issues sharing. Well, actually, Josh, he didn't have issues sharing. It was just me and my big brother. We had trouble sharing with one another. And so, you know, my mom was like, well, if Chris sees that Josh is sharing, then maybe Chris will start sharing more. So, I didn't start sharing more because I didn't let anyone touch my consoles. That's just how I was when I was a kid. I mean, now I'm a little different. I share. I don't share a lot, but more than I used to when I was a kid. But yeah, Josh got that Game Gear and I was devastated. But and then a few months later, my mom bought me one, and she said, "Here you go, you brat." And ever since then, I just started collecting, and I bought a lot of Game Gear games. Like, it is ridiculous. Whenever I got money from my grandma or my mom or dad, I spent it on Game Gear games. I would go to EB Games, Funkoland, and they would have Game Gear games for like $2, and I'd be like, holy crap, this is mine, wow, oh my gosh. And then when I got to junior high around 2001, I had a friend, his name was Bobby. He he said, my Game Gear sucks, it won't work anymore, I don't even want games anymore, or Game Gear games anymore. And I said, holy crap, I'll buy them off you. He said, okay, well, they're gonna cost $10 or $11 or something like that. And I said, okay. And I didn't care what games they were, I just wanted more Game Gear games. And so we traded, and he's like, here are the games. And I said, sweet, and I don't have those games. So I took them, and oh my gosh, that's when I got Zenki. Zenki is an awesome game, and I believe it's worth more than like $10 alone. The rest of the games he gave to me were Surf Ninjas, which sucks ass. I think Sonic was in there, some sports game, and what else was there? Dude, I forgot. But anyways, the one I remember was Zenki. And I was like, holy shit. And I was talking to Bobby about the game. I was like, dude, this game is so bad ass. How come you sold it to me? He's like, I told you already, my Game Gear doesn't work. And besides, I don't want to play that game anymore. It brings back bad memories. I'm like, bad memories? What do you mean? He said, my mom forced me to play that game so I could learn Japanese, because Bobby, he was a Japanese kid, and his mom was trying to force him to learn the language, and he didn't want to. And I was like, dude, this game is awesome. You sure you don't want it back? Because I felt like I robbed him. And he said, no, man, keep it. And so I kept it. Oh my gosh, that game. I still think it's probably one of the best Game Gear games ever made. Just because you could switch back from Chiaki and Zenki. Zenki plays like Sonic, you know, you push down and jump and he just rolls like Sonic. Chiaki, you know, she's a bit sluggish, but the game's a lot more challenging if you pick Chiaki. And I guess you could say the same for Zenki, because he's so fast and just sometimes you need him to slow the hell down. And besides that, you know, they have different abilities. Like Chiaki, she has magic that she can do, so she could, you know, melt ice. She could, you know, kill a lot of bad guys at one time. Zenki, he could roll and break walls. It was so freaking cool. I love that. What's another Game Gear game that I have a memory of? Oh, Streets of Rage. The very first Streets of Rage. And believe it or not, it is the very first time I played a Streets of Rage game. So, Streets of Rage for Game Gear is the first time I witnessed the Streets of Rage series. Back then, I didn't have a Genesis. So, I was reading about Streets of Rage. I didn't have a Genesis, but I had a Game Gear. So I was reading about Streets of Rage. I was like, holy crap, this game looks so cool. It's the answer to Final Fight. You know, Sega's answer to Final Fight. This is the game they're going to use to compete against Final Fight. That's so cool. So I remember I went to McAllen, which is pretty close to Mexico. And at Walmart, they had it. They had Streets of Rage for the Game Gear. And I was like, whoa. It was behind a glass case with like Game Boy Advance games and stuff. I was like, holy crap, I want Streets of Rage. I don't want any of that other crap. And I was begging my mom. I was like, can I get it? It's only $20. My mom was like, no, you have a lot of games. Which was true. I did have a lot of games. And so I didn't get it. And then out of nowhere, my grandma and my mom went back to Walmart without me. And I was just drawing. And I remember my grandma came back. She was like, here you go. I bought it for you. And my mom was like, what did you do? Oh my God. So yeah, I got Streets of Rage. Oh my gosh, that game. I love it. I still love it. I prefer it over the Genesis version. I know a lot of y'all are like, what the hell's wrong with you preferring that version? But it's just because it brings back so much memories, and I just love that game so much, you know. From the start of the music and the gameplay. I know the gameplay takes a long time for the buttons to respond. Sometimes you have to click on it, but that was like the whole fun of it, the whole point I was playing it. And I remember going in the closet, turning off the lights, and I was just like playing the game in a closet in a dark room, and I was cursing the game. I was like, you son of a bitch, oh, I can't beat this guy, oh, you know, and the game was on normal. I had difficulty beating it when I was in junior high. And then after a while, I was like, oh, okay, if you get the pole, you can just kill everybody in this game. So the game was watered down to like 5 stages. The boss characters, they brought back some, like those 2 twin girls, sprite copies of Blaze. And of course that last boss. But man, if you have the pole, you have nothing to worry about. You can get through the game super easily. Man, for some reason, I don't know why, but back then I wanted Mortal Kombat on the Game Gear. I was just like, the Game Boy version sucked. I wanted to see how bad the Game Gear version is. And I was always fascinated to see how Goro looked. And so I bought it, and holy crud, Mortal Kombat 1 was so difficult to get through, even on easy. You know, I don't recall. Well, yeah, I think I beat it only one time, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. I remember getting to Goro though, and I was like, holy crap, he's so small. What the heck did they do to him? And yeah, I was just like, well, this is a disappointment. So I bought Mortal Kombat 2, and I wanted to see Kentaro. I was like, still, oh my god, what the hell? But the thing about Mortal Kombat 2 is they put in the voice, like, ready, set, go, fight, you know, or I think fatality too. And that was always a treat for me. I really like Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Gear. But the reason why I bought those two is because I wanted to see how shitty they were, because I knew the ports were so terrible. Not the SNES or Genesis ports, but the Game Gear ports were freaking terrible. Another game, it's a fighting game. It's Fatal Fury Special for the Game Gear. For some reason, I really wanted this game. I was like, holy crap. I've been reading about it, reading an article that said, you know, this is the game to have when you're on the airplane. And I was like, well, you know, I don't really go on the airplane too much, but I really want that game. And so I didn't go on the airplane at all back then, but, you know. So I really wanted that game. I was really searching for it. I would always go to EB Games, Funkoland, and I would always ask them, hey, do you have any Game Gear games? Or, you know, GameStop back in the day, I would ask them, do you have any Game Gear games? And if you do you have Fatal Fury Special? And the answer was always no, 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 and oh no. And so, you know, I had to order it. I had no choice. And luckily at the time, this was like the year 2005, I believe, my mom, she was ordering stuff. I was like, oh, whoa, hey, wait a minute. If you're ordering something, can you order Fatal Fury Special for me? And she was like, okay. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Now, keep in mind, 2005, I was a teenager. I was about, 14, 15, 16, something like that. One of those ages. And she said, okay, I'll buy it for you. And so she bought it, and I played it. I played the hell out of it. I put it on easy, put it on hard, went on the team battle mode. Oh my gosh, that game is so great. The controls are responsive. The Game Gear's joypad is amazing. I think it's a lot better than a lot of joypads out there. Like, for example, a lot better than that Xbox joypad. I prefer it over the PS2's joypad, believe it or not. The only joypad that comes close to it is the Sega Nomad's joypad, which I believe is the best joypad still to this day. That's right, the Nomad has the best joypad out of all consoles. However, the Sega Game Gear's joypad comes pretty freaking close. But yeah, Fatal Fury Special was a freaking awesome game, and I was surprised to see Geese Howard and not Krauser in that game. The last boss was Ryo Sakazaki, and there's actually a code to pick him if you just mash buttons. This is how I pick Ryo. I just mash buttons in the beginning of the game and I pick him. Very easy to do, so give it a shot. Pretty cool. It's a lot easier than the other Fatal Fury specials, or a lot easier than Super NES Fatal Fury Special. The code input to pick Ryo Sakazaki. Gosh, I can't talk. But yeah, the code to pick Ryo Sakazaki is a lot easier to do in the Game Gear version than it is in the SNES, and especially the Neo Geo version. Oh my gosh. Like, how the hell do you even do that? You have to beat the game, you have to beat him. Wow. I only got to Ryo Sakazaki once in the Fatal Fury Special Neo Geo emulator, and I lost. He was hard, and I couldn't unlock him. I don't even know another way to unlock him. But yeah, eventually I did it with save states on my Nintendo Switch. Man, the strangest memories I have of the Sega Game Gear was just being in McAllen, like that place. I just had so many memories for some reason of my Sega Game Gear. I'd play a lot of my games there. McAllen's a place where my grandma lives and my uncle. You know, it's very, very close to Mexico, just like maybe an hour, or maybe 30 minutes away from Mexico. So we would go to Mexico and go to the flea markets, and I would see some Game Gear games, but I would never buy them because they were out in the sun, and I was like, well, I don't think they're going to work when I try them. And unfortunately, I didn't bring my Sega Game Gear around everywhere because it was so huge. But I remember I was at my grandma's house, and my grandma's house, it's like freaking desert there. There's sand everywhere. And so I would just walk down the street. It felt like I was walking in the desert. It was also so freaking hot. I was walking down the street, and I walked to this huge field. Had some patches of grass. I think it was like someone's property, and I would just sit there. I would either draw or play my Sega Game Gear. And oh my gosh, I have so many memories playing my Sega Game Gear, especially the game Pac-Man. And now everyone should know Pac-Man. Now this game, it belonged to my little brother. I'd always borrow it from him because I love Pac-Man, especially for Game Gear, because whenever you played it on the Game Gear, the screen lit up, it felt like you were at the arcade. And I remember as soon as I got to that huge field, it would be like the sun would be setting, it would be a little dark, and then I would see the light on my Game Gear just light up, and I felt like I was just at the arcade, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go to the arcade so bad. And I'd be playing Pac-Man, make it to stage 7. I was like, wow, I never got this high before. This is so cool. Yeah, I'm at the arcade. I don't need to go to the arcade. I have it right here. I'm playing it right here. I wish I had Galaco or something like that to switch it with, but you know what? I'll just keep on playing Pac-Man, keep getting better at it, and I'll just lay down on this field, and yeah, it was just freaking amazing. When I talk about memories, I have some good ones, but there's also some bad ones too. And unfortunately, in recent days, my Game Gear is not doing so hot. The capacitors are dying out. You can tell with the screen always dimming out, or it's giving me this yellowish color, which I assume that, it can be any minute, any day now for the screen to just shut off on me or distort really terribly. I don't want that day to come, so I just don't turn it on. I'm trying to find a way to fix it myself or get someone else to fix it. I'd rather have someone else to fix it because I'm not so technical. Only thing I know how to fix really well is the PSP. And even some PSP consoles I take somewhere to get fixed, like the PSP Go. I can't really work on that thing. But yeah, fortunately I bought another Game Gear with new capacitors. Now, this new Game Gear I bought, it came out of a very unfortunate event, and I'm so glad this event happened to me. So I bought Shenmue, It's a really nice copy. The discs weren't scratched at all. I tried it out on my Dreamcast, didn't work. So I took it back to the video game place I did, and they were so happy to exchange it for me with another Shenmue copy. And I said, wait, you know what, before I take it, let's see if it works. And so we tried it out on another Dreamcast console, and it didn't work on either. It didn't work on that one, and it didn't work on the other one he tried. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Why isn't Shenmue working? And he told me to step outside for a minute, or he didn't tell me to step outside. I decided to step outside because the store, they were practicing social distancing, and only 2 customers could go in at a time. So, you know, I said, oh, you have a lot of customers, man. I'm just gonna step outside and think about what I can do. And so I'm like, okay, Shenmue doesn't work, so I have to go in there and just find out what I want to buy, because I don't want to ask for my money back, or you know, just have store credit in there just sitting there, because, you know, I don't feel comfortable having store credit sitting there. And I definitely didn't want to ask my money back, because this is such a crucial time for like small businesses such as this one, which I think they're doing really good. They're always busy every time I go there. So yeah, they're really good. If y'all want to check them out, I think they're online. Maybe they're called Player One Video Games at Friendswood, Texas. If you just type in those words in Google, you can find them. If you're around Friendswood, that's the place to go, man. That's where I go. I go there, or Game Over Video Games, or Alternate Dimension Video Games in Alvin. But yeah, those are the places I go. I go to Player One a lot because they have a variety of things to choose from. They have Neo Geo cartridges, Neo Geo Pocket, Atari Lynx, and oh my gosh, dude, I can go on. But I digress. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Shenmue. So none of the Shenmues work. I'm just waiting outside there. And I'm like, gosh, what am I gonna buy? Their store credit. I think I'm gonna buy another controller for the Dreamcast, because I only have one controller for it. And maybe another another memory card. Yeah. But I still have some money left over, because man, Shenmue was a very expensive game. It's $58, which I think is a reasonable price for that game, of the original copy anyways. And so I waited for all these people to go. They went in, they came out. You know, I knew they were, or I knew that they would, because they were kids and parents. You know, they had it in their heads what they wanted. And if they wanted a Nintendo Switch, you know, I knew that the console wasn't there. But, you know, it's not my job to say, oh, it's not there. And besides, I don't know if they would get mad at me for telling them that. But anyways, one day they'll have a Switch. And they have a lot of Switch games, okay, guys? So if you don't think they don't have Switch games, they do. They just don't have the consoles. Anyways, so I go in there. And I said, look, man, I know it's not going to work. I've been reading about it. Some copies just don't work for some reason on certain Dreamcasts. I'm not going to deal with that. Probably just going to use Image Burn or Disc Jugular. I've been reading about that while I was outside, while thinking about what I was going to buy here. And then some random dude comes in. He looks at the Game Gear. He said, oh, new capacitors. I'm like, what? New capacitors? Are you shitting me? And so I look at the Sega Game Gear in the little glass case, and I was like, holy shit, dude, you have a new Sega Game Gear for, yeah, it's $100, but dude, it costs a lot for new capacitor, or for the Game Gears on eBay that have new capacitors installed into them. And the guy said, yeah, I put it in myself, but nobody believes me. And I was like, well, man, I tried doing shit like that too. You know, I tried it with my old Game Gear. I was too scared to mess it up, so I just stopped. And my Neo Geo Pocket, I opened one of them to try to put a front light in it, and I messed that one up too. So, you know, that's out of my hands. I can't do anything with retro consoles except the PSP. You know, I just can't. I can't modify it. I tried, I failed. And this guy, he said, yeah, I put him in. And I asked him, can I turn it on? He said, yeah, sure. And I said, whoa, that's so beautiful. Look at that screen. Oh my gosh. And you know what? I said, okay, I know I have store credit in here. I'm not getting Shenmue anymore. I'm going to get a Dreamcast controller. and I'm gonna get this Game Gear. And so my store credit went into that, and I had to pay the difference, which was I think around $50 or $40. And I was like, just like back in the day with the Majesco Game Gears. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I bought it, and man, I tell you what, I bought Ninja Gaiden shortly after that, and I've been playing that game like crazy. And that Ninja Gaiden game, I actually played it before this whole episode, before me starting to record this episode. I just played it before I recorded vocals, before I recorded that cover. I played it and I beat it. You know, it's not a hard game to beat. It is. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I was brought back to 2005, 2001, and I was just like, holy crap, I'm enjoying my Game Gear again. This is the most amazing feeling that I've had in a long time. And I gotta thank Player One for replacing that capacitor, or those capacitors. You know, that's a hard thing to do, like for someone like me that has no knowledge of opening up a Game Gear or something like that. And I'm pretty sure, you know, it takes some skill to do. And I gotta give a huge shout out to Player One and their staff, Player One Video Games at Friendswood, Texas. If y'all want to go there, I'm telling y'all, they do good work. I don't think they're gonna fix your Game Gears if you ask them to, but you know, their staff, they know a lot of crap. Let's just put it at that. They know a lot of stuff, and some of the stuff they know how to repair. However, they're not going to repair it for you because they just don't want to be liable for anything. But you know, they put in that new capacitor because, you know, it was a broken Game Gear and they fixed it, and they didn't know if it was going to work, but it worked and it runs beautifully. And I've been playing it for hours on end. Bought rechargeable batteries for it and just recharge them, put them back in, and play them once it runs out. It's just awesome. You don't know how much it means to me, Player One. Thank you. Other stores I go to, there's Game Over. There's Game Over Video Games, which is another good store that has a good variety. And Alternate Dimensions Video Games in Alvin, Texas. Now that store, oh my gosh, I broke my PSP Go and they fixed it, and it costs like what, $10-15 for them to fix it. Yeah, that is another good store. They have a lot of good stuff there too. They have Game Gear games, they have Vita games. It is another great one. I'm not sure if any of them do online shop, or if you can shop online in their stores, but if you can, those are the stores, man. Those are really good stores to go to. If y'all know of any good video game stores, retro video game stores, not GameStop, but if y'all know of any good retro video game stores, leave them down in the comments below. I know in Canada there's Game Deals. Yeah, that's the only other one I know of that's out of my state. But yeah, guys, I enjoyed talking about the Sega Game Gear and just, you know, just games out of my mind without reading a script or anything, because I feel a lot better just talking and not going off a script, you know, just saying whatever comes to mind. I know it might sound scattered, and if you're having a hard time keeping up with my scattered brain, I'm very sorry. It is not your fault, it is my fault. Well guys, this is Chris the Pocket Master. I'm going to take a bath, and what did that guy say? Be proud of yourself. Don't look down on yourself. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.